You are listening to the Body Charge podcast, and I'm your host, Sandy Sanderson. Welcome to the Body Charge podcast. Today's topic is hormone health hacks and living well longer. Right now, the maximum human lifespan is 122 years. Experts base the lifespan on the longest lived person with a verifiable date of birth. But it may be even longer for those that don't have a birth certificate. However, the average lifespans are very much different, with Australia's being a bit over 83 years. And this statistic doesn't even account for years of debilitating illness that may have been prevalent leading up to death. Why are we falling so short of our maximum biological potential? My special guest today is Dr. Walter Bennett, a specialist in regenerative, hormone and functional medicine with over 20 years experience, including as Doctor of Chiropractic and Family Nurse Practitioner. So welcome aboard, Dr. Walter. Lovely to have you.
Thank you for having me.
So my first question is, what are we doing wrong? And why is the hallmark of aging these days associated with degenerative disease? Well, why can't we just get old without all the problems and the suffering and then just go to sleep one day and not wake up when, time's up? Why are we having such a bad time in aging?
Well, I think a lot of it goes into our diet. For example, in the United States, the soil it's lacking nutrients that it had 100 years ago. And we're doing these mega farms, and it's all industrial farming and things. So you're lacking some of the nutrients that we would get from farms in, say, the early 1900s. So I think that's where we should start. Also, a lot of the food we're eating is engineered food. There's GMOs out there. There's pro-inflammatory things that we're eating, and it's prematurely aging us. It doesn't have to be that way, but unfortunately, that's where we're at right now.
Yes. So really over decades, we've seen foods get cheaper and more mass-produced, less fresh home cooking, and that denatures the food a lot. And also what I found in my magnesium research is that people tend to lose a lot of magnesium excessively under stress. And we do have a lot more stress in our current lifestyles, don't we? Well, with environmental stresses, there's EMFs, too much screen time, financial stress, physical stress, people who do shift work, all kinds of stresses can mount up and cause us to lose magnesium excessively, which is really important for metabolism. And so what do people do? They go to junk food. They go to more sugar because they're getting so fatigued, so sleepy. They go, I need something. And then, they're actually going for the thing that will make everything worse, which is, processed carbohydrates. What do you have in your experience that may add to that assumption scenario?
Processed carbohydrates. I tell patients, food comes from a farm. It doesn't come from a factory. If you're eating prepackaged food, that was designed by a food engineer whose only job was to make that food taste good. There's no nutritional value. They don't care about the nutritional contents. They don't care if it's good for you. They don't care if it's going to hurt you. Their only job is to put chemicals in there and make it taste good so they get a repeat customer for life. So if you're getting prepackaged food, there's virtually no nutritional value in a lot of these types of things that we're eating. Second, when you look at processed carbohydrates, simple sugars, I saw a study they did on mice. They gave mice heroin and they gave them sugar over a few weeks. At the end of that few weeks, they let the mice choose which one they wanted, heroin or sugar. Guess which one they chose?
The sugar?
They chose the sugar.
Yes, I did hear that was the most addictive drug on the planet. Sugar is actually processed sugar as a drug.
It is. And what happens is you build these things up, you become insulin resistant. It leads to so many different health problems that um, people just don't realize. I think they think, oh, a little bit here, a little bit there is not going to hurt me, but it starts out a little bit here, a little bit there.
But it adds up.
Pretty soon, it's a staple of their diet.
Yep.
People are on the go; they're wanting fast food. You know, fast food is not good food.
No, burns you out too fast.
Yeah. Yes.
So, um, because we're on, we have these environmental stresses and the food supply isn't delivering the nutritional content it used to, how does that affect our hormones? Because you help a lot of people with hormone imbalance, and I do know from the magnesium research that hormones require enough magnesium to be made and for the body to keep that balance in check, because it's also connected with metabolism. So, because it's never really one thing for health. We need a lot of irons in the fire. We need a lot of things happening at the same time and even exercise. So, in your experience with dealing with hormone imbalance, what kind of protocols do you use to help people get back to the balance that they need? Because hormones, if they're not in balance, they can age us prematurely, right? So, what's the connection there?
Okay. You hit the nail on the head with the first thing you said, environmental stressors. Now, when you look at environmental stressors, we have something called endocrine disruptors. Now, these are things such as your BPAs, things in plastic. Um, you have, there's numerous ones. Now, when you look at what they do in the body will see them as typically like estrogen. So, all these plastics and things that we're putting into our bodies, it's taking our body is seeing that as extra hormones, but it's taking that hormone receptor and putting something fake in there. So the body's being fooled into thinking it's hormones, but it's really not. So it's
It's a fake
destroying.
estrogen. It's
Right,
an
it's a fake.
imposter.
Right, it's not real. So it's actually disrupting our whole endocrine system. Now, when you look at other environmental stresses, it's not just plastics, it's not just hydrocarbons, it's not, it's just not waves. There's all kinds of things. For example, particulate matter. If you live where they're doing a lot of construction, they're blasting into side of the rocks and things. All these particulates into the air, it causes um, systemic inflammation in the body. They've actually done a study and they found that um, people that are around these construction sites have a 50% more likelihood of developing type 2 diabetes. So
Wow.
it definitely affects.
Because I heard there's can be lead in the dust as well. Lead.
Yes,
Hmm.
there's lead, there's cadmium, there's
Yep.
there's all kinds of stuff in the soil, and they're just exploding it. Now it becomes vaporized, and you're breathing all that stuff in. So it's causing systemic inflammation, and inflammation over time leads to several um, different diseases, and it it leads to.
If it's not resolved. So the inflammation is just the body trying to get rid of stuff that shouldn't be there, right?
Yeah, it's your body's response to something. There's acute inflammation, like when you twist your ankle, and then there's chronic inflammation. Chronic inflammation is things we're breathing in these small particulate matters, we're ingesting these plastics, we're drinking water from bottles. As a matter of fact, the number one um, culprit for having BPAs is baby bottles. You wouldn't think that, but it is.
Baby bottles.
Baby bottles.
Wow.
Yeah. So it, so when you look at these things, it's not just one type of plastic. I mean, even your cookware, the nonstick cookware,
Yeah.
those have in them. So um,
Oh
candles, the
yeah,
same.
yeah, your non-stick cookware, stay away from the Teflon. It outgasses fluoride, and fluoride locks up your magnesium, it steals it.
and and there's many things. Even the scents in certain candles will do it too. So it's not just one thing. So I recommend to people, if you do live by a construction site where there's going to be a lot of particulate matter, I recommend a whole body or whole house um, air purifier.
Yep.
It can filter out some of those particulates so you don't breathe them in, and that can greatly cut down the amount of inflammation that your body's making, and have tremendous health benefits to that as well.
Yes,
Some,
because a
and
small exposure, usually the body can deal with it and, cough it out. But if you don't have a rest and a break, it's not got the chance to recover from the assault, does it? It's like constantly under barrage.
you never recover because, for example, if you live in this area, you're sleeping in your bed 8 hours a night. You're constantly exposed to it. You're breathing that in the whole
Yep.
8 hours.
Unless you got your filters.
Right. So that's something cheap and easy you can do, and you'll get a lot of bang for your buck by doing that.
Yes, and also clean water, clean air, clean water. You've got to filter the water because, they put uh, it's often recycled from wastewater, and they can't actually purify it completely. And then they add fluoride and chlorine in. So chlorine kills the bugs, and that helps it be more hygienic. And you can boil the chlorine out of the water, but you can't boil the fluoride out or any heavy metals that may be contained in the tap water. So it's a really good idea to get a good filter and purify the water and then put your minerals back in.
Yeah, they have reverse osmosis systems now that will take all those things out, and then it takes the minerals out, but then they have systems now that'll put the minerals right back in. So
Yes, and but they don't put enough magnesium in, so you can always add a few extra magnesium chloride drops because in a calcium filter that the water passes through, it can add a small amount of calcium because it's a hard rock. Doesn't dissolve straight away, the whole lot, but magnesium chloride is highly water soluble and the whole lot would dissolve straight away in a filter. So it's something that we need to add as a liquid. And that will mimic natural spring water. So I think in our modern lifestyles, we need to work towards what would life have been if we still lived in a completely natural environment, and how can we, in a way, as best we can, recreate that scenario to support our health. And so, with your education of people, I guess, when people come to you with problems, how do you diagnose where to start to help them realign or get back on track with a good lifestyle protocol?
well, we start with a pretty advanced battery of lab tests to see where they are. Um, you know, Something I've seen a lot of here lately is I've seen a lot of people exposed to molds. Maybe
Yes, that's a bad one. Mm.
they've had headaches for 5 years. They come in, I do a battery of tests on them, and turns out they're exposed to mold. Maybe the house was flooded before they bought it. They didn't know about it, and you really can't smell it. And then all of a sudden they start getting headaches and that sort of
Yeah,
thing.
might be hiding in the wall behind
Yeah,
the
that,
plaster.
yeah. What happens is it'll get behind the sheetrock, and
Mm.
people paint over it,
Or
but that's still
in the
there.
air conditioning systems as well, in humid climates, you have to have them regularly cleaned.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, you can have the air ducts cleaned out. A lot of people don't do that though. I mean, I've known people that 20 years they never had their air ducts cleaned out. They didn't even know to do it.
Yeah, you have to
Blowing,
call a professional to do it.
they're blowing right that all that stuff. They're blowing right back into their
Yeah,
house, and
yeah. So when we're younger, we can bounce back a bit quicker from assaults like that, but it gets harder as we age because it's just garbage upon garbage, and then suddenly the tubes in the body get blocked, and everything goes pear-shaped, downhill. So we can I get back a little bit to the hormone thing? Because I was thinking of the estrogen when you were talking about estrogen mimicking. And I do remember in my magnesium readings that naturally occurring estrogen supports magnesium in the body, helps the kidneys recycle it. And so there's a very strong synergistic effect with natural estrogen and magnesium. However, with the imposter, with the pill or the chemical version of estrogen or estrogen mimickers in plasticizers, that has the opposite effect. That actually causes or helps to cause magnesium deficiency. So, you can get heart arrhythmias and a whole range of deficiency symptoms, not even realizing that these chemicals are robbing you of vital nutrients for your energy, for your electrical energy.
Yes, and those fake estrogens, the actual term is they're xenoestrogens.
Yep.
Um, Now the other thing that happens, your pesticides, that's actually an endocrine disruptor. You mentioned pesticides. They're endocrine disruptors, and they will do the same thing as your
Yeah.
BPAs. And
So you mean like glyphosate in the
y-
in the wheat product?
yes,
Yeah. They use that now not only in GMO foods, but just to desiccate, dehydrate the wheat faster so it can get to market faster. And
right.
and so little traces remain inside the seed. You can't even wash it out. And as you mill it and use it for cooking over time, you're accumulating glyphosate in the body. It's not all expelled. And that inhibits your beneficial bacteria in the gut. So scientists have discovered a very strong relationship between the prevalence of glyphosate and the gut disruption and digestion problems and, things like IBS and irritable bowel syndrome, a whole bunch of digestive disorders can sprout from that.
Yeah,
And we are as healthy as our gut. Our gut determines everything. We've got to look after those good little microbes.
yeah. The gut is 80% of the immune function. Without the gut, we can't fight off anything.
Yeah. And also hormones are connected with that, aren't they?
Yes,
The production of hormones.
yes. So, and there's, you know, even certain medications, they affect the gut biome, and then that can affect endocrine levels. So there's many things that can affect your hormone levels. For example, I treated a young man, 26 years old. He was having severe depression, ran his testosterone level. He had zero testosterone. 26 years old. Turns out he was in a car accident 2 years before, and it damaged his pituitary, so he wasn't able to make the releasing hormones, so his body would even make the testosterone. So we ended up putting him on testosterone, and then he got better. But then him and his wife wanted to have children. So when you give testosterone, even if it's bioidentical, the male body will quit making sperm. So what we ended up doing was we kept him on the testosterone so he could have wellness and function. Then we put him on HCG, which is human chorionic gonadotropin, which is the same thing women make when they're pregnant.
Yep.
But in men, a man's body will see HCG as luteinizing hormone. That'll then cause them to make sperm and testosterone. So it helps the whole spermatogenesis process.
Yeah. Do
So
you recommend zinc to go with that as well? Zinc
I don't.
supplements?
I don't. It it works. It did just fine. They were able to conceive children. And my point with that story is sometimes endocrine functions aren't necessarily what we're eating. It could be from a trauma, like a car accident.
Injury, yes, yes.
So
And
there's many.
and interesting, you mentioned testosterone because even women need a little bit
Yeah,
of testosterone, and if they have zero, it can also lead to depression. So testosterone has a relationship with our dopamine, which is our excitement hormone and makes us feel enthusiastic and looking forward to things, which is the opposite to depression, right?
right.
So we need a little bit of testosterone to give us that confidence, that get up and go, and optimism and all of that mindset requires energy, metabolism, and the right endocrine balance.
Yes.
And yeah,
Yeah. People think of testosterone as just a sexual hormone. It it is a sexual hormone, but it has many more functions other than just sexual function. People don't realize you need testosterone to have wellness. When men's testosterone gets low, they go into a severe depression. Women can get depressed from it too, but men, it seems to be more severe.
Hmm.
And um, there seems to be a link, although, I mean, more research is needed. But you have a higher level of middle-aged men, say over 50, as their testosterone drops, they commit suicide. So
Why do you think their testosterone drops? Could it be something to do with the digestive system? So maybe they're not digesting meat like they used to, because we get a lot of testosterone hormone production from a ketogenic carnivore diet.
a
Um,
man has a lot to do with it too. What they've found is the higher a man's body fat goes, the less testosterone he makes.
oh, and the more estrogen that's made in the fat, right?
And then right. So the higher the estrogen goes, the lower the testosterone will go in a man. So if he loses weight, it'll definitely help.
Yeah.
And the more weight he gains, it's going to make him insulin resistant. Insulin resistance over time will lead to diabetes, and that will crush your testosterone level too. And simple exercise. I think a lot of men, as they get older, they're not as active as they were when they were younger. And you know, when you lead,
They get into a mindset of, oh, I'm retired now, I'm a bit older, I can just put my feet up. But they don't realize that they're shortening their lifespan by putting their feet up instead of keeping their body moving and
yeah,
exercising.
our bodies were meant to move. Yeah, we have
Yes.
to go. We have to get some kind of exercise. As a matter of fact, people with diabetes, I I see it in practice. So when if somebody does high intense exercise, just one session, during that session, it'll drop their blood sugar up to 30%. Just
Wow.
exercising one time right
That's
after they're done.
amazing.
Yeah, they're so that 200 blood sugar, you can take, it'll take it down to 140
Yeah.
just by high intense exercise. And it can be 10 minutes of high intense exercise.
Yeah.
It
You
about
don't
all
need
day.
to become a gym junkie.
No. We just need to do something intense
Yep.
several times a
You
week.
got run up and down the stairs a few times.
You know, when you look at sprinters, have you ever seen a fat sprinter?
No, they're
E-
lean. They have lean muscle.
Exactly. And they're very muscular. It's because of the intensity of their training. Now, am I saying everybody should go be an Olympic level sprinter? No, that's not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But, you can take some high intensity things from that style of training. Just take 10 minutes to do it. It your
Yeah.
body will appreciate it, and it has immense health benefits in the long run just by adding some high intensity exercise. And not everybody can go out there and sprint, but everybody can do something high intensity.
Short, high intensity, I heard, and then take breaks in between and replenish your oxygen supply and then go at it hard again. So this stop-start system seems to enable you to get a lot more done in a shorter space of time as far as exercise benefits go.
Yeah, even those little hand cycles, those little hand cycles, you can use those just intensely, go 30 seconds really hard,
Yep.
take a second break and then do that, repeat that
Now,
7, 8.
also as we age, sometimes there's aches and pains or the spine can become out of alignment too, and people avoid exercising. So perhaps if they're experiencing some kind of stickiness or grinding or things that shouldn't be happening and makes them avoid exercise, they should check out maybe it's spinal alignment. What would you recommend there?
Yes, spinal alignment, getting adjusted by a chiropractor is always a good thing, keeps the motion in the spine. Arthritic joints, this is what I deal with every day
Yep.
with regeneration.
And nerve pain that can be sometimes caused by pinching somewhere because something's not in the right alignment. So
Yeah.
people get
So,
nerve pain.
and people look at arthritic joints and they don't really know the cause of. They say arthritis, oh, that's just because I'm getting older. No, it doesn't have to be. Arthritis is caused by your body making a enzyme called protease. That protease will go into that joint and do what it's supposed to do. Now, when you stress that joint or body part too much, for example, working on concrete for 20 years, your body's making so much protease, it's eating holes in that cartilage.
Yeah.
Now you have an arthritic knee. What we do is we take stem cells from your body, put that into the arthritic joint, such as your knee, your hip, your shoulder. We can regenerate that cartilage up to 30%. We can add.
It also gets excessive calcium deposits, which makes it gristly, grindy, and they lose some synovial fluid. So things dry up a little bit in the joint, don't they? So, yeah, it's about diet, exercise, and the stem cells sound really good. Good strategy to get you ahead a bit faster.
It changes lives.
Yeah. So we're coming to an end. Would you like to let people know how to find you, how to get more information, how to connect with you?
Sure. I'll give you my email address. If people want to email me, they're more than welcome to. It's drwalterbennett@gmail.com. So if they want to contact me, they can just put in the subject line, they saw me on your podcast.
Fantastic. Yes, we'll put it underneath in the show notes.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Dr. Walter. It's been really informative, and I'm sure a lot of people will get good things out of it.
All right. Well, thank you for having me.
I hope you liked this conversation and will share it with others. Let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. If you want to listen to other Body Charge conversations, click like, subscribe, the bell icon, and click all notifications. Subscribe to our newsletter to get updates on blogs, podcasts, videos, and magnesium special offers at electromagnesium.com.au. Relax, recharge, and recover.